Hey guys, I haven't done an squishy makeover in some time. The paper squishies don't count as an actual makeover. So yeah, a lot of you guys have been asking for another one, so here we are. Before we get started though, I just wanted to say that my squishy makeovers are always inspired by Moriah Elizabeth, the queen of squishies. Ew. I came across some squishies at the store. They're not like normal squishies, they're velvet squishies.
Wow.
And I wanted to give them a makeover.
I'm going to kill you. Help me.
As soon as I saw these, I immediately thought of Honey and BooBoo. Ew. So of course I got them. For those of you that don't know, Honey and BooBoo are two plump little lovebirds I made a little bit ago.
I love you so much I want to kill you.
I love you too. Please don't hurt me.
Just some evil and chaotic ogres to brighten everyone's day. So for this squishy makeover, I wasn't so sure if I could use tulip fabric paint on velvet. I was a bit scared about how things would turn out. I mean, it is fabric, so it should work, but also velvet has a lot of texture of its own. These squishies look kind of faded and used, probably just because of the velvet, but they are new. Just wanted to put that out there.
Please don't hurt me.
I started off in my usual fashion by chopping off the ears. I've become quite the expert at amputations. I didn't know I had such a gift for it. I just realized that I never gave Honey and BooBoo any ears in the original clay version. I guess we'll just have to pretend that they have those little tiny hole ears that lizards have. You can't see them, but they're there. I tried my best to clean up around the edges of the amputation. The velvet made like a sort of lip around the edge. The velvet kind of sticks up where the ear was cut off, so I had to smooth that edge out. There was some crusty glue stuff on the squishies. I don't really know why that's there. I tried my best to peel it off without completely destroying the squishies. Some of the flesh started peeking through. It's a little problematic, but I guess that's to be expected with cheap squishies. Hey. These kinda look like potatoes. I filled the ear wounds with puffy paint and then smoothed it out as best as I could. It takes quite a bit of puffy paint to fill these open wounds. Normally I like to sand the squishies down all rough and stuff.
Please help me. No.
I'll start off by giving her a rough sanding. After all, beauty has a price. But just FYI, I'm not sanding these squishies down today just because they're velvet, so yeah, you can't really sand them down. I don't think you're supposed to. Pretty sure. Anyways, now that the repairs are done, I can finally go in with a white base coat. I'm using a mixture of puffy paint and white slick paint. I still kinda like experimenting to see what gets the best results for me. So here I am blanketing everything in white. Several layers of white, so hopefully I don't have to go in with as many layers of color later on. Honey has horns on his head, and BooBoo has an oversized pink bow. Obviously, I don't have those pieces laying around, so I'm going to have to shape them out of memory foam. So yes, I am using memory foam for these squishies. Sounds exciting, but it's actually exhausting. Memory foam is annoying because it kind of clings to everything and little pieces get everywhere, but in order to maintain maximum squishiness, I'm using it today. For BooBoo's bow, I cut 3 pieces and then glued them together. I guess I did it like this because in a way it's easier for me to do it in 3 separate pieces rather than make the bow in one piece. In order to stick the bow and horns onto their heads, I resorted to pulling out the hot glue gun. If you don't want me to hot glue a giant JoJo Siwa bow to your head, you should consider selling your soul to me by subscribing to my channel. Don't forget to ring that bell icon thing so you don't lose me on the internet. I post new videos
every Friday.
I've tried using fabric glue so many times. It just takes 6 hours to dry, and then even after that it rarely ever works for me. It usually doesn't even stick. I didn't feel like messing with it today, so I just went straight for the hot glue, which in my book is okay because the squishy queen Moriah Elizabeth herself uses hot glue sometimes.
Shh. It's okay.
I feel like I could have maybe given the horns a bit of a curve. They're just kind of sticking straight out, but whatever. Maybe he straightened his horns today. I'm sorry if that bothers you. Shaping memory foam is not the easiest, so it'll just have to do. After I got those to stick on, I drowned the horns and bow in puffy paint to try and smooth the texture out a bit. Memory foam is made up of a ton of little holes that need to be filled with tons and tons of puffy paint. I ended up using 1.5 bottles of puffy paint for these tiny pieces. This is honestly the part I dreaded most because I knew it was going to take a long time. And I knew no matter what I did, it was gonna be textured. Texture is the bane of my existence. The horns and especially the bow are still looking very textured, but now I've spent a ridiculously long time on this, so I had to move on at this point. You just have to know when to let go sometimes. So finally I was ready to start painting. I mixed together a light blue color using white and blue slick paint, and then painted Honey's mug and BooBoo's body and arms. I have this little mix and match theme going on for Honey and BooBoo, where Honey's mug matches BooBoo's skin color and vice versa. They're like one of those annoying couples that color coordinate with each other. It's how you're supposed to know they go together. Anyways, I then mixed together a light pink out of pink and white fabric paint for Honey's body and BooBoo's mug. The paint isn't the exact shades as the original because obviously the originals were painted in acrylic paint and this is fabric paint. For these I just mixed together a random light blue and light pink, and it's close enough for me. I'm not too picky. I painted BooBoo's bow with pink and tried to smooth that out some more, clearly not having too much luck with that. I know it's still looking textured, I'm just doing the best I can, still figuring this stuff out. It's alright. I can't win every battle. I went around the edges of the mug with some puffy paint for the drips. That's for the swamp water that's in Honey and BooBoo's mugs. I also used puffy paint to make some little bubbles popping out of the slimy goo just to give it some dimension. To really bring that swamp water to life, I mixed a fluorescent green slick paint with a darker green slick paint and then painted over it. After that, I added some dots of fluorescent green to the bubbles. And now that all that basic stuff was done, I was finally ready to move on to their facial features. So Honey and BooBoo normally have eyeballs that are bulging out of their faces because I wanted to give them a very cartoony look. For their squishy version though, I just left their eyeballs as 2D because I felt like it might look weird if I tried making them pop out with memory foam. I would spend hours trying to shape the memory foam and trying to get it to stick, and then in the end it wouldn't even matter because it would be too textured anyway. So I just used some dotting tools in the backs of my paintbrushes to paint the eyes instead. They look kinda dead inside right now, which to me is kind of a look, but no worries. I will add more to the eyes in a bit. I was just kinda skipping around a lot while painting these. I painted BooBoo's mouth in white and then painted Honey's mouth and nostrils in black. They're just two little black circles for nostrils. They don't have an actual nose, or I guess they have a flat nose. It's not meant to be realism, clearly. I also gave BooBoo some nostrils to match. Then I went in with some paint for BooBoo's pupils and gave her some rosy pink cheeks. She goes heavy on the blush. Oh, hello. And then I added BooBoo's teeth. She's got this little mischievous kind of grin going on, mostly because she's always up to no good.
Want to bite you.
Never trust anyone who smiles like that. For BooBoo's eyelids, I went in with a dark blue and sprinkled on some spots and freckles throughout. I like giving a lot of my characters these kinds of eyelids, just makes them look more expressive in my opinion, gives them a bit of character. I used a dark red for Honey's eyelids and spots and also went in with that same dark red around his horns. Honey's mouth is open, so I gave him a little red tongue and he has a single white tooth. I haven't come up with a good enough reason as to why he only has one tooth, so just don't think too hard about it. It's not supposed to make sense. I added some of that green slimy swamp water around their mouths. I do now realize that the green around BooBoo's mouth kinda makes it look like she has facial hair, but it's fine. She's embracing it. I would just punch the beard off, but it's in puffy paint, so it's stuck on there forever now. To add shadows, I went in with a dark blue and a dark red around their mugs where their body meets the slime, just to add some more depth and make them look a little less flat. I guess they're not really shadows actually, they're more like accents, but you get what I mean. If these end up looking ugly in the end, I just want you to keep in mind that ogres are supposed to be ugly, so, you know, maybe it was intentional. I also went in with some white paint for highlights on the mugs to give them that extra shine. Honey and BooBoo have little puffs of hair sticking out of their heads, so I wanted to make sure I added that. I used the same yarn that I had used for their original versions, just rolled together some pieces with hot glue. Normally hot glue guns are pretty hot, hence the name hot glue, but mine is a little mini one and it doesn't really get that hot, which is good because I don't plan on burning my fingers off today. I added the hair to their heads and snipped up a little haircut for them to get the length just right. At this point they were looking like they needed to let some air out, so I stabbed them a couple times.
Whoa!
The fluorescent green paint I used for the swamp water actually glows. It wasn't exactly intentional, but I thought that was pretty cool. Anyways,
help me.
BooBoo's eager to bite him.
I want to rip your skin off.
Honey's a little scared.
Stay away from me.
Business as usual.
Click on the top right or bottom left, or else BooBoo will find you, and BooBoo will bite you.